You know, that perfect Key West morning. The kind where the sun feels like a promise, the air tastes like salt, and the gentle buzz of Duval Street is just starting to wake up. That was the day I thought my little dream was finally coming true. And it was, right up until the moment the vultures descended. I'd poured my savings and my soul into this little kiosk. I make ceramic and paper mache birds, each one hand-painted and full of personality. I had this one particular piece, a proud cockatoo with individually sculpted feathers, perched on a twisted wire. It took me 3 days to get the tilt of its head just right. I was polishing its glass eye when their shadows fell over my display. There were 4 of them, a gaggle of middle-aged women dressed in matching resort wear, but one was clearly the ringleader. Let's call her the Queen Karen. She had perfectly coiffed, helmet-like hair, designer sunglasses pushed on top, and a purse she wielded like a weapon. She zeroed in on my cockatoo instantly, not with the look of appreciation I was used to, but with the critical eye of a predator sizing up its prey. "How much for this?" she asked, not even looking at me, just flicking a dismissive finger towards the bird. Her entourage just kind of hovered, nodding at nothing in particular. "That one is $20, I said, putting on my best, brightest, small business owner smile. The Queen Karen actually scoffed, a real, honest-to-God scoff. $20 for this? She finally looked at me, peering down her nose. I could get something twice this size at Walmart for $5. My smile tightened a little at the corners. "Well, lucky for me, you're not at Walmart," I said, my voice still syrupy sweet. "And I can guarantee you theirs wasn't fired in a kiln by someone who's still paying off their art degree." A flicker of annoyance crossed her face. One of her flock muttered, "She has a point, Brenda." Brenda shot her a look that could curdle milk. The Queen then picked up a small, painted fish. "This is just cheap paper mache," she declared, loud enough for a passing tour group to hear. "It's tacky. My grandson could make this in art class." Okay, deep breaths, Diana. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks. My art wasn't just trinkets. It was hours of my life, little pieces of my heart I was putting on a shelf to sell. "I'm sorry you feel that way," I said, my voice now a few degrees cooler. "My work isn't for everyone. But the people who like it seem to really appreciate the craft." I gestured vaguely at a woman down the way who had just bought a set of ceramic sandpipers and was beaming. This was, apparently, the wrong thing to say. "This is unacceptable," the Queen snapped, her voice rising. "Your attitude is appalling. I want to speak to your manager, right now." And there it was, the final boss level of customer service. A slow, wicked grin spread across my face. I couldn't help it. "The manager?" I asked, putting a thoughtful hand to my chin and looking around my tiny 8x8-foot kiosk as if he might be hiding behind a box of bubble wrap. "Yes, the manager," she insisted, planting her hands on her hips. Her flock was starting to look uncomfortable, shuffling their feet and avoiding eye contact. I leaned forward conspiratorially, my voice dropping to a stage whisper. "I'm so sorry, but the manager is currently unavailable." Her face, already a bit sun-flushed, started to turn a blotchy, angry red that clashed horribly with her pastel polo shirt. "What do you mean, unavailable? This is a business. Get him out here." I leaned back, my grin widening. I was enjoying this way too much. "Ma'am, I can't. He's just not here." This is when she lost it. I'm talking full meltdown. "I am a paying customer. I demand to speak to the manager," she shrieked, actually stomping her foot. People were stopping to stare now. I lost my composure. The frustration and pure absurdity of it all just boiled over. I threw my hands up in the air and yelled back, my voice cracking with laughter. "I'm sorry, but the manager is on a very important coffee break and cannot be disturbed." The sheer, unhinged glee in my voice must have finally broken through her righteous fury. The Queen stared at me, her mouth hanging open like a fish. Her entourage looked mortified. Without another word, she spun on her heel and power-walked away, her flock scrambling to keep up. I just stood there in the middle of my little kiosk and started laughing. Not a little chuckle, but a deep, gut-busting, tears streaming down my face laugh. I had to lean against my display table to keep from falling over. A guy from the t-shirt shack next door strolled over. "Everything okay, Diana?" I wiped a tear from my eye, still gasping for air. "Yeah, man, everything's great. I think I need to hire a manager."
This next one had Reddit losing its mind. Quick pause, subscribe now, because the chaos doesn't stop here.
Some days working in retail makes you question humanity's collective IQ. For me, that day was a Tuesday, and the catalyst was a single carton of eggs. I was working in one of those high-end grocery stores, the kind where the kale has its own mood lighting and you can buy water that's been ethically sourced from a cloud. I actually liked my job, especially helping people find cool, new products. So when a portly man in a golf shirt 2 sizes too small asked me about eggs, I was ready to shine. "Right this way, sir," I said, leading him to the refrigerated section. "We have our standard eggs here, but if you're looking for something with incredible flavor, I'd really recommend these organic, free-range ones. The yolks are this amazing deep orange, they're fantastic." He stared at the carton I was holding, then his eyes narrowed and he looked at me. It wasn't a look of confusion. It was pure, unadulterated suspicion, like I'd just tried to sell him a bridge in Brooklyn. "And they're $2 more," he said, his voice dripping with accusation. "What are you, on commission for these chickens?" I blinked. No sir, I don't make a commission. They're just, better quality. The hens have more space, a better diet, it all affects the final product." This was, apparently, the worst possible thing I could have said. He puffed out his chest and his face started turning a blotchy red. A likely story, trying to upsell me, pull a fast one on a hardworking man. He wasn't just talking to me anymore. His voice boomed through the aisle and I could feel other shoppers starting to look over. "This kid is trying to scam me," he announced to a woman who was just trying to grab some yogurt. She gave me a sympathetic wince and hurried away. My own face was burning. I'm a pretty non-confrontational guy, and my brain was short-circuiting between wanting to just vanish and wanting to tell him to buy his cheap eggs and choke on them. "Sir, I'm really not," I stammered. "I'm just making a recommendation." He wasn't having it. He snatched the carton of regular eggs, stomped past me, and made a beeline for the front of the store. I thought, with a wave of relief, that it was over. Oh, how wrong I was. He went straight to my manager, Brenda. I saw him from a distance, jabbing a thick finger in my direction and ranting. Brenda, a woman who had the zen-like calm of someone who'd seen it all, just nodded patiently. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught phrases like deceptive practices and gold-plated eggs. Brenda finally caught my eye and gave me a subtle little head shake, the universal sign for "just go to the back, I've got this." I escaped to the stockroom, my heart still pounding with a mixture of anger and humiliation. Later on my break, I was recounting the whole saga to my coworkers. As I got to the on commission for the chickens part, we all started howling with laughter. The absurdity of it all was just too much. That's when my coworker, Marie, chimed in, wiping a tear from her eye. "Oh, you think Eggman is bad? Let me tell you about Potato Man." We all lined in. "This guy comes up to me last week," she said, holding up a big russet potato, and he looks at me dead serious and says, "Why is this brown?" We stared at her, waiting for the punchline. There wasn't one. I was like, "Because it's a potato, sir. They grow in the ground. It's dirt." He just kept pointing at the specks of dirt, Marie continued, and saying, No, why is it brown?" I tried explaining the concept of soil to a grown man for a solid 5 minutes. Finally, I just said, "I'm sorry, sir, that's above my pay grade," and walked away. We absolutely lost it. My ridiculous encounter with the Eggman suddenly felt so much better. It was a badge of honor, another story to add to our collection of retail madness. You can't let people like that get to you. All you can do is retreat to the break room, share the story, and laugh until you cry. It's the only way to stay sane.
You ever get that weird, prickly feeling on the back of your neck? That little jolt from your lizard brain that tells you someone nearby is about to completely ruin your day. I got that feeling in the baby aisle at Target, and boy, was my lizard brain on the money. So my sister just had her first baby, a sweet little girl named Lily, and my best friend Maya and I were on a sacred mission. a Target run for diapers, wipes, and most importantly, the specific brand of formula that was the only thing keeping my sister sane. We had Lily with us, peacefully snoozing in her car seat carrier, nestled right in the shopping cart. The plan was simple: get in, get the goods, get out before the tiny queen awakens. We were doing great, ticking things off the list. Maya was cooing at the sleeping baby while I hunted for the right size of diapers. That's when I realized I'd forgotten the gripe water back in aisle 5. "Hey, I'll be right back," I told Maya. "Just gotta grab the gripe water. Don't let the diaper genie suck you in." She laughed, adjusting Lily's blanket. "Hurry back before I buy this kid a whole new wardrobe." As I turned to head back, I heard it, the aggressive squeak of a wonky cartwheel moving way too fast. I glanced up and saw her. Let's call her Karen. You know the type, a razor-sharp pixie cut that looked like it could cut glass, huge sunglasses on inside the store, and a general aura of someone who's perpetually waiting to speak to a manager. She screeched to a halt right in front of me, blocking my path. "Excuse me," she said, her voice dripping with impatience. "It's impossible to find good help in this store." I blinked. I was wearing jeans and a hoodie, not a red shirt and khakis. "Oh, sorry, I don't work here," I said, trying to sidestep her. She wasn't having it. She took a step to block me again, looking me up and down. "Right, I'm sure you don't. You're just loitering in the aisles. I need to know where the organic, gluten-free, non-GMO cat food is. Now." My patience, already thin from a week of baby-related sleep deprivation, started to fray. "Lady, for the third time, I don't work here. I'm shopping for my niece." I gestured vaguely in Maya and Lily's direction. "Now if you'll excuse me." I pushed past her and grabbed the gripe water, hoping that was the end of it. It was. I could feel her eyes on me, and sure enough, she followed me back to my cart. When she saw me rejoin Maya, her face twisted into a smug sneer. "See," she announced loudly. "I knew it, just standing around gossiping with your friend instead of doing your job. Absolutely disgraceful." Before I could even respond, Maya held up a hand, her eyes wide. "Ma'am, please, could you keep your voice down? You're going to wake the baby." It was like Maya had lit a fuse. Karen's eyes bugged out. "The baby? Are you kidding me? You're using a baby as an excuse for your lazy behavior. I have never in all my life seen such a pathetic excuse for customer service." Her voice was rising to a full-on screech. Little Lily whimpered in her sleep, her tiny face scrunching up. That was it. The mama bear instinct, even for my niece, kicked in hard. "Okay, you're done," I said, my voice low and firm. "You need to leave us alone right now." Just then, a figure in a red shirt appeared. It was my cousin Jenna, who actually does work at Target. I'd texted her when we got there, but I never imagined I'd need her for backup. "What's going on over here?" Jenna asked, her professional smile faltering as she saw my face. Karen rounded on her. "Finally, someone who works. This employee," she jabbed a finger at me, "is refusing to help me and is now threatening me." The store manager, drawn by the commotion, was right behind Jenna. He stepped forward, trying to de-escalate. "Ma'am, let's all just calm down." "Don't tell me to calm down," Karen shrieked, her voice echoing through the store. "She's the one who needs to be fired." I'd had enough. Lily was starting to fuss in earnest now, her little whimpers turning into the first signs of a full-blown meltdown. "For the love of God, just shut up and move on," I snapped. That's when she lunged. It wasn't a shove, it was a full-on launch. She swiped at my face, her hand connecting with the side of my head. My glasses went flying, skittering across the linoleum with a sickening crack. Everything froze for a second. Maya gasped, pulling the cart with Lily back protectively. Jenna's jaw was on the floor. "That's my cousin, you psycho," Jenna yelled, finally finding her voice. The manager didn't hesitate. He was already on his walkie-talkie. "I need security and a police escort to the baby aisle. We have an assault." Karen just stood there, huffing and puffing, looking genuinely shocked that her actions had consequences. As 2 security guards arrived and gently but firmly took her by the arms, she started sputtering, but she wouldn't tell me where the cat food was. They led her away, still protesting her innocence, while Jenna helped me find the pieces of my now demolished glasses. The manager was incredibly apologetic. comped our entire cart of baby supplies, and gave me a gift card to cover the cost of new glasses. And as we finally walked out of the store with a now wide-awake but thankfully calm Lily, Maya just looked at me, shook her head, and said, "Well, that's one way to get free diapers."
Roll right into the next one. It's waiting for you.